welcome back to the Wild Thoughts podcast. I'm your co-host, Kat.
I'm your co-host, Afi.
And today we're back with another episode all about career advice. So we're going to teach you how to get your dream job. And we did ask a question of the week on Instagram, but we got quite a few questions. Let me just say what our question was actually. So we asked you guys, what career-related tips would you like to know about? And we got a ton of questions. So we're going to treat this episode more as like a Q&A rather than just asking your questions and then we get into our tips. So with that, I guess we can just jump in.
Yes, popular demand. So we kind of categorize them. So the first topic is kind of like what to expect like before the job hunt and just the job hunt in general. So the first question was, how do you stay motivated in your career path? So Kathy, do you want to give your tips first?
Sure, I'll take it away. So I kind of separated like when you're in school versus when you're actually in the job force and you need to be motivated. So if you're in school, I would say to try to find hobbies or like I put in quotes side quests that relate to your field that you're studying in to kind of like gauge what type of focus you want to put in your industry. Because I know like, for example, marketing, there's so many things that you can do. And if you're not taking the time to actually learn about it in your free time to know exactly what you want to do, it's kind of like...
True.
It can be overwhelming because you don't know exactly what you want. So by doing that, you can get more motivated because you can be like, okay, I found something I enjoy in this aspect. So I'm going to keep doing my schooling, keep going at it because like this is super interesting to me and this is my end goal type of thing.
Yeah. Okay. That's actually smart. Yeah. Okay. To be honest, I didn't. So you're smart. You see, I didn't really divide it. I kind of just looked at it as a whole. Like, how do you stay? I guess I was looking at it more in terms of like after you graduate type of thing, like when you're not a student. So I don't know if you want to comment on your...
It's okay. You can go and I'll add to yours.
Okay. So for me, it's kind of like what you mentioned, but you would do it after. So you kind of have to try different types of jobs in your field and experiment. Because I feel like that's the only way to actually know what you're going to like is to do it. But I think Kathy's approach is good if you just want to have like a step ahead of things and you don't want to get like overwhelmed when you graduate. But I don't think there's anything wrong with just like trying things out. Or you know what, you can always make a list. I think this helped me too, is like, okay, what do I like what are my passions, and then what are things that I know based on, you know, maybe it could be group projects or past jobs that I didn't like, you know? And you don't have to do like your direct passion. Like just because you like art doesn't mean you have to become like a painter. But I just mean like you take the little elements and you try to like mix and match and you go through the job description and you're like, okay, I know the job descriptions are obviously very positive. Like it's like it makes everything seem like fun and realistically like not all of those tasks are actually fun, but I think you just have to like mix and match and see like, okay, which one aligns with what you like and just try things out. But fields are so broad, like marketing is so big, so you kind of have to like either know yourself really well or just try out different types of jobs and rule the ones that you know. Like if you know you're not gonna like this job, like don't go try it because you already know, okay, most likely not gonna be it for me. But that's pretty much like what I would say to do.
So my thing is I want to say a little broader than that in terms of career. So I kind of said like plan your long-term career goals right now. So like if you know that you're in a path that maybe you're unsure about, like think of the long-term where you want to reach to. And once you do that, you're going to try to take the steps towards that, obviously. So like, let's say I'm studying marketing, but I'm kind of like, I don't really know what I want, but long term, I want to be like, okay, I want to be like a director of social media, let's say. Okay, I'm going to start working on my own social media. I'm going to learn tips and tricks to grow my own social media. I'm going to post like this. Like you can take steps towards it that are going to be more motivating because then you're going to see the reward that comes from it or the success achievement aspect of that. So I think that can kind of be motivating if you're in a path that like, you like, but you don't know how to narrow it down.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I feel like it's smart to look at it in terms of like short term, long term. So you have like small steps you're taking towards like the bigger picture, so it like motivates you every step of the way.
Exactly. And then on the flip side, if you're in a career path that you're like really unsure about because you're not sure if you're actually liking it, but you're still want to get through it, I would say like positive affirmations and rewards are the way to go. So like first be kind to yourself, because like if you're already not liking what you're doing, like don't put pressure on yourself and don't like put yourself down if, let's say, you're not getting it, or like you're not the results of you putting in the work and the results are coming back and like not what you expect. Be kind to yourself. Don't put yourself down because of it, because then it's just going to go downhill from there. And I think like have a reward system for yourself. So like every week after you accomplish all your tasks for the week, treat yourself to a dinner, treat yourself to a bath, like do something for yourself that you know it's going to make you feel good. And in that case, it's like you're going to kind of train yourself to be like, okay, as long as I accomplish this week, then I can have some fun me time.
Yeah, and you're not worrying about like that part of it, and then you can just kind of relax. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so stupid. I like forgot the question as we were saying it, and I'm like, I don't feel
Why?
like I fully answered because I left a part of my answer out.
Oh.
But basically my answer, why I said to try different, because I like twisted the question in my head, but what I meant was that if like, because the question is to stay motivated in your career path, so what I meant was that like for example, marketing is so broad, so if you change your routine up, like you don't stay in the same type of position for long and you try different things, so you broaden your skill set, so that might motivate you because you're doing different things. So that's
it's going to
what
be
I
more
meant.
interesting. It's going to be more interesting
exactly.
than just like studying in the field. Like at least you're doing something to like get experience out of it.
Exactly. And like
Yeah.
if you get bored of something because you've been doing it for a while, the field you're in is probably so broad, so like maybe try something different that's still kind of familiar but uncomfortable enough for you to like be stimulated by it.
Yeah, challenged.
Yeah, exactly. Nice.
Okay.
Okay, so the next question in that category was how to find a career path that fits into one of your passions.
Okay. So I have about 5 things that you can do. So the first one, I would say think of what you want to do, like as a career, like the first thought that comes into your head, and think of your strengths and see if those match up. If they don't match up, then find a career that's going to cater to your strengths.
That makes sense. That's actually really good. Yeah.
Yeah. So my first thing is to look for something in your daily routine that kind of like speaks to you and like can spark an interest. So let's say, I don't know, if you're a hardcore journaler, maybe journalism, maybe writing, maybe English, maybe something in languages could be something that you go into. So try to find something in your daily routine that like, it's something that's kind of like, you don't really think of doing just because you enjoy doing it. It just become natural to you.
That's actually smart because I feel like we get tired of repetition a lot. But like, for example, if you're doing something every day that you like, but you don't realize it, then maybe it'll be good because you won't get tired of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it could, like, I feel like that one's kind of 50-50 because it could just be something you enjoy, but you don't want to really make it into a career. But it could be a hint to what you want to do.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. Another thing, pay attention to the media that you consume. So like what easily sparks your interest. Even like if you're scrolling through TikTok and there's a topic that always comes up that you're like, I want to watch this. For example, if I'm scrolling and I see like someone talking about a new makeup product, and I'm like, oh, I'm very into makeup. Let me look at this.
Yeah,
and like, or someone talking about, these are very random, but what I'm thinking of is like someone talking about like astrology or numerology, like that I'm very into. So maybe maybe you want to study the stars. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Like
you never know,
anything that sparks your interest, or even like TV show related. If there's something like, I don't know, Breaking Bad is very science. Like I know it's about meth, but it's very
I just started watching that, by the way.
Yeah. A lot of people are starting now. I haven't watched it.
Yeah,
but like
apparently it's like really good. It's like apparently it's like one of the best shows. So
if you're super into that, maybe you're really into sciences. You know, like just find something that sparks your interest and kind of build off of that.
That makes sense. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay, I have 2 more.
Yeah,
two more.
No,
So think of what you love to do, but eliminate the money aspect of it. Because I feel like a lot of times we think of like, let's say a lot of people use like artistry. So like if I love painting, but like it's hard to find a job, stuff like you're gonna let that like impact your decision, which you shouldn't, because if you're passionate about it, you're gonna find a way to get yourself
to make a
stable
living.
And
Exactly.
So eliminate money from the equation and just think about what you love, make a list and go through it that way. My last tip is to ask friends what they associate you to. So a lot of the times it's like it's hard to think about yourself in that aspect. So maybe going to a friend or a parent or someone like close to you might help spark something. You know, because they know you also. So maybe they'll be like, oh, I kind of see you doing this, and maybe that can spark something.
Exactly. And they see you from like the outside. I feel like when you're analyzing yourself, there's so many things. So it's like you don't know what to pinpoint it at. But yeah. Okay, these are some good tips, Kathy. Wow. I'm taking them in also. I didn't even think about that, but that's really good. Okay, for me it was kind of like a general thing, but based on my experience, I've kind of just like a little bit similar to maybe the first step that Kathy said, but like kind of identify what your main passion is. And I said to narrow it down to be as specific as possible and find jobs like that directly correlate to it. So basically, like, I feel like sometimes you're going to look at things indirectly. Like, I don't know. I don't know if this is making sense, but I feel like you're going to be like, oh, I don't know. Let's say you do like a marketing job and you're like, oh, but I'm going to be with people. But the thing is like, that's such an indirect thing. Like the task itself, I feel like has to be something that you like. So like I said, kind of in the previous question, I kind of said, but because I mixed them up, but narrow down like what your interests are, maybe through Kathy's methods, like if there's something that sparks, like note it down, be like, oh, I really find these types of videos interesting. And then when you're looking for jobs, don't look at things like indirect. They have to be like obvious tasks, because I feel like if you're looking at things, like very small things that may indirectly correlate to things that you like, it's not actually gonna like make you happy, because it won't be like the main part of the job. And then I don't know if this is helpful, but
no, but it makes sense.
Yeah, I just feel like I would always make excuses for me. I'm like, oh, when I'm going to a new job, like, okay, cool. I have a lot of like, I'm working in person and talking, but the main job would be like customer service. Like if you don't like customer service, even if you like, you know what I mean? Like there's like a difference and you really have to look at like the tasks itself. And then the other thing that I've done actually, personality tests. Because sometimes when you're confused, and you can actually find, I know it's very like kind of generic because so many people have the same type, maybe similar personalities, but hey, it works. You can find like jobs to specific personalities. And if you've ever kind of thought about it and it like is coincides with what your personality test tells you, then maybe it's like a sign, you know, for like, let's say I've thought about being a lawyer, then I go and I type in my personality and I do the test and it tells me like one of the popular careers for your type of personality.
It could inspire you.
Exactly. And then you might look into it and be like, oh, cool. And it's like kind of like a sign. But yeah, I think like personality tests can help a lot just to help you find what you like and what you don't.
The main point is like you need to find just like a list of things and then narrow it down from there.
Lists really help. And sometimes it feels not obvious because when you have to like think about, okay, what am I passionate about? But I guess just starting to become more aware of things that you enjoy and you would want to like do as a career.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so our next section, we're going to be talking about CV/resumes and cover letters. So we have a couple of questions on that. So the first question is, any CV tips? Do I need to make it look fancy or keep it simple? So Afi, what do you think?
Okay, so I feel like it depends on the job and the type of company that is employing you. Like if it's more of a creative company, then maybe you can take more risks, like maybe add like a color, like not super bright colors, but like more professional looking colors. Yeah. But if it's more like traditional, like, you know, maybe I'm not sure, but like let's say you're in finance or accounting and you're applying for a big corporate company, maybe keeping it safe, because it depends on also like their brand image. I feel like what their like what their image is and what type of like reputation they have and like what they look like from the outside. But then it also depends on the field you're in. Like for example, like marketing, you might be able to be a bit more creative depending on the company than like a data science company, you know, like or like an engineering company. So I think it depends on that. So I think do some research and maybe see what like tips on Google or just online, and then decide. And I feel like you could be a bit creative, but don't go too all out. Like don't be putting like bright pink, because I don't think like in general, like I don't think it looks super professional. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you that it depends on the job. Also, I know there's this thing, I don't know if they have it in Canada, but I see a lot of US people saying that they have, some companies have like a scanner, which like they only recognize what? A certain, a certain type of CV, and
Uh-huh.
like they'll only
Oh.
accept you if the scanner accepts you.
Yeah, that's why it really depends. Like, I think my cousin, he's in data science, and I was asking him, like, what does your CV look like? And he's like, oh, it's literally like the basic, like
Yeah.
plain, like black. I'm like, oh,
But
because, yeah,
yeah,
it
I
depends.
think at the same time is like you can still take a basic template, but show your personality through it. So I think that's
Yeah,
the key. You still have to, like, even if you're applying somewhere where you think you need to be super professional, there's like different types of simple templates that you can use that still show some of your personality, still show like you through it. So actually,
exactly.
I'm gonna do a little plug here, but I wrote a blog post like a while ago with 5 free Canva templates. So if you guys want to check that out, I'll have it linked down below. But they're different templates for like the type of job that I would think you can apply to, because some of them they'll I some of them not require, but like they have pictures. And I know some people like putting pictures on their CV, but
Like
a
of
lot of people
themselves.
say, yeah, but a lot of people say not to do that
Yeah,
because they can make a first judgment of you and not take you because of it. So
yeah,
I don't
no
recommend putting your
picture.
picture on your
Canva
resume
does that a lot. They always have like a slot, but I
because
don't think you
that's the
should put
more
your picture.
modern way to do it. But people are gonna judge you for that, like because
Yeah.
people are just
And it may
automatically
also
judge.
create, yeah, exactly, because like if they know your face compared to another candidate, they may like eliminate you. You know what I mean? Because like they're kind of having like Kathy said, like they're able to see you so they can make assumptions,
Exactly.
and they're not supposed to, right? So
Exactly.
it may not work in your favor. So yeah, maybe don't put your picture.
Yeah, so I wouldn't put your picture. I would just make your CV again, do it according to your job, but make sure that you're showing your personality through it and don't
Yeah.
make it too long.
Yeah, yeah, short and sweet.
Yeah.
Short and
Like
sweet.
I
And you
know
can,
when I was applying, I know people say to keep it to one page, but I had like one page front and back just because
yeah.
I felt like I had a lot to say.
Yeah. That's
But
fine.
like
Like,
try to keep it as concise as possible while still
yeah.
demonstrating your skills.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like you can add little details here and there to make it a bit different, but I don't think you need to like, whoa, it needs to be like really different from other people's CVs. Obviously, there's going to
Yeah.
be a general like similarity between CVs because like common
Yeah.
knowledge. So,
Like, for example, when I was applying to the accounting internships, let's say, I had to
mm-hmm.
follow the co-op CV template, which it was like super simple, like straight to the point, just showed your skills right away, blah, blah, blah. But then when I was applying to marketing positions, I used a CV template from Canva. I added some color, like I used like a muted purple, I think, like nothing
Yeah.
too dramatic, but
Yeah.
it had personality. And I felt like
Yeah.
I could play around with the template more than if I was just using a simple template, just because like I'm applying to marketing, so they want to see creativity, right?
Yeah.
So I think it all rolls back to like it depends where you're applying.
Yeah, and even the position, like, you know, like maybe marketing, like if you're being like making a content creator or whatever, compared to like a data analytics, like, you know what I mean? Like obviously it depends on the
Yeah.
positions, on the field, and all that, but I mean, do what you feel is right based on the, like, even if you get a sense of the company and it's a really like modern like vibe, it's very
Yeah.
like open and positive, then maybe they'll be more open to colors, you know? So.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the second question is, cover letters are the bane of my existence. How can I stand out?
Okay, I literally wrote, oof, that's a tough one because I'm not an expert at cover letters. Even I don't enjoy, and I'm not like super experienced, but kind of from what I've heard and even learned, I feel like you can be unique because you kind of have to differentiate your cover letter from your CV a little bit because you don't want to be repeating exactly what's on your CV onto your cover letter. Okay, so I kind of said that you want to include things that you didn't fully expand on your CV, and maybe that's like kind of essential to the position to kind of showcase like your personality and why you're a good fit. But I feel like they want to see that you're actually a human being and not like a robot, just like, you know, because on your CV you're very like statement, like it's just like the words and like what action verbs and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not
It's
really
direct.
exactly. And on on your CV, I think you just want to maybe emphasize things that you didn't get to fully expand on that would be interesting, or maybe talk about personality things that would maybe be favorable for the position. So I feel like if you do that and you're not copying like the basic templates and just changing the words and just putting in a little bit of extra effort and being a bit unique and creative, I feel like that could get you pretty far.
Yeah, 100%. The purpose of a cover letter is to expand on your CV. So like, don't just take the 3 skills you put and be like, okay, yeah, I do this, this, and this, and then period. Take certain skills according to the position that you're applying to. So make sure that you're taking the key, like if the job posting has key terms, make sure you're using those key terms and explain why you fit into that. And also what Afi said, you can also take other skills that you put that aren't related to like past experience, but still make you who you are and can benefit the company. Like you need to show that you're an asset to the company in any way that you can. So like also don't be afraid to like be confident in yourself, because I know sometimes people are intimidated by cover letters because you're like talking about yourself,
selling
basically.
yourself,
you're bragging about yourself. But the thing is like you have to use it to your advantage. So like do whatever you can to sell yourself basically, and like no one's gonna take it in a cocky way because everyone's gonna be writing the same type of cover letter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Also a good tip that I learned is always research the company beforehand to see who the hiring manager is and include them in your letter. So at least it's showing you're taking the initiative to actually do the research, do the work in order to like fully research the company. You're very interested. Like it shows that, you know,
the little details matter. Yeah,
exactly. And don't use generic terms. Like don't say you're a team player or you're organized. Like that's boring.
Like
try
the
to
corny
stand
stuff.
out. Exactly.
Yeah, because it's already kind of on your CV probably, or like similar things. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
And I would also say,
sorry.
Just a small thing, but basically if you're doing something creative on your CV, make sure your cover letter matches to it so they can associate them together. Just in case like they separate them or something, you know?
Yeah, like if you're using a color and there's like a block of color, you want to make sure it matches. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I just kind of said like show that you have passion for the position. So like if they're if like the company you're applying for is like I don't know, in the fintech industry, like show that you're interested in that, maybe in your, or you know a lot about it, just so that you can show that you're applying not only just superficially and just for the job, but you actually like enjoy this stuff and you're gonna like be happy in this position. Yeah, just sell it yourself.
Yeah, that's all you have to do. You just have to sell yourself. So include whatever you think is going to be beneficial for them.
We love that. Cool.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. So the next segment is how to get the job. Okay. So the first question is tips for interview prep and most stressful experience ever.
Yeah. So they're saying interview is the most stressful experience.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I thought they were asking us for our most stressful experience.
No, they're saying it's very stressful.
It's stressful. Okay, so they need tips for interview. Okay.
Yeah. So the first thing I would say is obviously research the company, because they're going to ask why our company, what do you know about us? Those are the generic questions. And also when you're researching, see if there's anything that happened in the news related to the company. That's a key thing that
like current events.
Yeah, exactly. I learned that from my father actually, because he used to interview a lot of people, and like people that saw something that happened recently and brought it up, it would stand out to them because it's like, oh, you're actually taking
the current
interest.
Standing of the company.
Exactly.
So it's like, because you're interviewing now, so you want to see how can you help like now, kind of.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's a really good tip. I also like to prep answers to the generic questions and also questions that I think relate to the position, just because I get nervous very easily and I get anxiety, and I know that if I don't prep beforehand, I'm going to blank and then I'm going to tank the interview. So I know a lot of people say like, don't like prep your answers, blah, 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 but I like to prep everything. Yeah. Because I'd rather be over prepared than under, you know?
I agree.
Okay, I have a lot of stuff, so do you want to like jump in here?
No, it's okay. You go ahead, and if I have anything to add, and I will,
Okay. I also said that if it's a Zoom interview, let's say, be sure to have the job posting and your CV open in front of you. So at least you can refer to the job posting, use keywords that's on the job posting while you're explaining, but don't make it obvious, obviously, that you're reading off of the job posting. But I think that also helps really well because they're looking for those key terms that, let's say you're doing, you're sharing your past experience and you have something that relates to something that they put in the job position. Make sure you point that out.
Point
you know
it
what I mean?
out, yeah.
If you're in person, you can prep beforehand with those key terms, but also be sure to bring extra copies of your CV, because I've had it a couple of times where I go to the interview and there's extra people that randomly come in that are in the interview, and it shows that you're prepared if you have extra. That's like a really old trick that people say to do,
no, it's good,
but always be prepared in that way also.
Okay, that's really good.
Yeah. Okay. Don't be generic in your answers. Be honest, but don't use it as like a venting session. Because you know how some questions are like, okay, what was a conflict that you had in your last job?
Yeah.
That you were able to like solve and stuff like that. Like, try to be honest, but don't like make yourself look bad at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you want to make it like not technical, but I mean like answer the question so that it benefits you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Exactly. Also be prepared to have small talk. Because some interviews will go off of the career questions and they'll ask you random questions.
Yeah.
Obviously don't answer if they're personal questions and they're wrong for asking that.
Yeah.
But like, for example, on my CV, I know some people put like random interests that they have. So I had travel on my CV. So I had an interviewer like talk with me for 10 minutes just about traveling and like where I've been and stuff like that. So be prepared to do the small talk, because it's also them gauging how you're going to fit in their company culture.
Yeah.
And it's also for you to understand how they are, right?
Maybe
and
they want to also see, like, are you bullshitting? Like, are you just writing any interest on your CV? Like, are you actually passionate about this? Like, can you keep a conversation that's not about, like, career? Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's to build rapport. Like, on my last interview for the current position that I'm in, my boss actually asked me, like, okay, what animal is your spirit animal?
Yeah.
Like, it was so out of nowhere. Like, I was not prepared for that
icebreaker,
question.
like,
exactly. But, like, you got to be on top of it and you got to be able to keep a conversation going.
Interesting. That's really good.
Okay, my last tip. Sorry, I have a lot of tips.
No, it's okay. We need
just
them.
to give some background. Obviously, if you listen to this podcast, I'm very career driven, and I used to do so much research about how to like be a boss, how to be the CEO, like shit like that. So I'm very into like career advice. Yeah. So that's why I'm like,
we need it.
Lists of things. Okay. So I kind of touched upon this in my last answer, but remember that the interview is a chance for you to get to know their work environment. And it's also a way for you to gauge, like, if you think the company culture is going to fit your values. Yeah. So that's kind of adds less stress for me personally, because I'm like, if I don't like the way the interviewer is speaking, or like they're kind of unprepared, stuff like that, that's kind of like turned me off. And it's like, you shouldn't be nervous in that case, because like, you're also kind of testing them in that way.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. 100%.
So, exactly. And because of that, you should always go to the interview prepared with questions that kind of allows you to see like a day in their life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I agree. Okay, wow. So I kind of have similar... I feel like I'm just repeating, so I won't like blob too much, but...
That's why I wanted you to say some of your answers. I feel like I'm just saying everything.
No, it's okay. But I'll just like keep them short, if anything. Yeah, my tips are pretty similar to Kathy. So what I usually do, I use Google. So I Google questions with the company name or similar types of companies to see if like there are any resources online that can possibly help me. And like I find Glassdoor, things like that. They have a lot of like interview tips sometimes. And like once I found like a bunch of questions. Obviously, it depends on, like, how popular the company is, if it's a big company, but that really helps, like, just anything you can find online. Yeah. And like Kathy, I also, like, find the typical questions they would ask and prepare my answers on, like, a Google Doc. And I add, like, as I go, rearrange, whatever. And I also ask, like, kind of, like, what I think they would ask me based on the position. And what I've done also recently, well, like my last couple interviews ago, I took the job description and I kind of make the job description like tasks into questions, right? To see like what they would ask me in relation to the
that's a good
tasks. Yeah, so that I know like what to expect, and I'm not like Kathy. I like to be like prepared because yes, you can be casual, and like kind of on the spot and talk, but there's you need some preparation to kind of know what you're talking about.
I feel like if you're not preparing in advance, you're gonna be babbling and just
about
talking
random stuff.
Yeah, and just talk and talk and talk, and that can kind of like kick you in the ass because like you could like blurt something that you wouldn't want an interviewer to know.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And you need to differentiate like a casual conversation and you doing an interview. There's kind of a difference, and when you don't set those like prepared questions, you kind of forget because you're just talking about stuff. Like I would forget like already. Like
me too. I would blank.
Exactly. So I think it's better. And I think you can also, if you want to get to know the industry or you're not super familiar with it, it's like a new industry that you've never worked in, you can do some research, current events like Kathy said. Also I said, make sure you know what's on your CV and how to properly answer questions related to your CV. Because sometimes I feel like we write our CV and we'll write like random qualities about ourselves, but we don't know how to explain it. Like, like they might ask you like, oh, why do you say you're independent? Or what have you done that shows this? So kind of just know what's on your CV and what you're putting on there and make sure you're looking over that.
Agreed.
And then also I wrote, just be as calm as you can and have a conversation with the person, because I feel like now companies are a lot more casual about their interviews. Depends on the company, obviously, but they're more lighthearted, like you could have a sense of humor, just like have fun and smile, but obviously still like be purposeful in the interview, answer the questions properly. And I said stand your ground while still being respectful, because like even Kathy said, sometimes people can be unprepared or ask you like strange questions. Yeah, exactly. So I feel like you have standards too, so you should also be asking those pertinent questions to see if this fits with you and not only if you're fitting with the company.
Exactly.
Because sometimes you're going to be like, okay, this really doesn't match with my vibe, and the way that they're asking, like they can be rude. Like I've had that happen where the interview was kind of rude and I was like, whoa, okay. So I was like really turned off, and I literally, they asked me for a second interview and I said, nope, like it's not my vibe.
You can say no. That's also an important point. You can say no if they like, because I know some people can offer you the job like on the spot. And if the interview did not fit your vibe, say no. Or you can be like, oh, give me time to think about it, but then like reply to them and say no. Them. Yeah.
Exactly. So the next question is, how do you set yourself apart from others? How do you get ahead of the game/competition?
Okay. So my tips are kind of related to the interview also, but I said obviously research the company, also research the interviewer, because you might find things that you can relate to in the interviewer. Like I've had a few interviews with people where like we went to the same high school, even though like there's a big age difference, but at least you can relate to that. Or like they traveled to the same place as you. Like you can find those things that are gonna build the rapport and like you're gonna click with the interviewer.
Show basically. You have personality. Yeah.
Exactly. And you can have something in common that you bring to the table so that they can feel more comfortable with you also, Yeah,
exactly.
I also said ensure that your CV is using related keywords to the job when you're applying. So 100%. I feel like that's like a generic advice. When you're writing your follow-up email, I don't know who I learned this from, but this is a really good tip. When you're writing your follow-up email, be sure to include like a one-liner about something that you found interesting about the interview. So by doing this, it's going to help the interviewer remember you. And B, it's going to show that you were really listening and really interested in the position and bring up your chance of getting like a second interview or even getting the job. Because you're taking, you were present and you're taking that extra step to be like, this was really interesting for me. Thank you for explaining it. Like I did that in an interview once because it was like my first co-op interview, and they were kind of explaining like the whole laydown of like what it would be if I continued like as a CPA, and then if I worked there, this is what you're gonna do, blah blah blah. And I found that super interesting because no one actually like explain
Took the
to me
time to, yeah.
long term what this would mean if I stayed in a position like this, right?
Yeah.
So I used that to my advantage and I ended up getting the job. I don't know if that's why I got the job, but
But
it was
it
like
helped.
probably
I'm
an
sure it
extra
helped.
push. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah. And then my last tip would to be complete some side programs or certifications that can give you a one-up on competition, or even like be sure to like go into jobs while you're in school that relate to the career that you're studying in. So like you can, if you don't have time for that though, the certifications help. You can do like Google has free ones, or HubSpot, they have a lot. I know for marketing, I don't know in other related industries, but yeah, so do some side things that are going to help you get a one up on people.
Yeah, exactly. And even I feel like the certificates, even if it's not directly related, but something that could just benefit the position, like, I don't know, let's say it's a marketing certificate or something digital, and it could just benefit. And they see that you have, I feel like they like seeing that you have different skills, because if something goes wrong or problem solving wise, you can actually like help out and be like kind of do like 2-in-1, you know?
Yeah.
Obviously you don't want to do extra work, but it just looks good.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
Oh, that's really good. Okay, so for me, I kind of just, first I wrote, honestly, it sucks that you always have to feel like you're competing, because obviously we're all different and all that, but let's be realistic, like that's how it works, because a lot of people apply for obviously the same position. Okay, this is, I don't know if it's like directly related, but it's kind of just like a motivational thing, but sometimes there's just the right jobs for the right people, and like not every job is made for everyone. So like, if you feel confident and you're qualified, you just have to do your best and show that you know what you're talking about throughout the interview. And how you can do that, actually, one of my friends told me about this, but you can go the extra mile. For example, let's say, okay, you have an interview coming up, and maybe it's like a consulting company, I don't know. Like you can kind of prepare maybe like a slide deck showing like, okay, this is how I would like tackle this, you know, like almost like doing the job before you get the job, just to show them like a sneak peek, you know.
You know what happened to me once? I had an interview where I got a second interview, and once we finished the first interview, they asked me to prepare a portfolio, because they also
like that.
This is like, it depends with the position you're applying for, but let's say in this position they also wanted me to have like graphic design skills. And because I know Photoshop and stuff, they wanted me to provide a portfolio like that. And I was like, I'm like, I didn't know marketing requires portfolios. So I like kind of had a mini panic. But then like the second interview, I had a deck and they were like super impressed. Like, so I think that that's a smart idea to have something prepared just in case they ask.
Exactly. And like if you're doing it before they even think about it, it's like showing the initiative.
Exactly.
And it shows how much you want it. Obviously, like if you're getting a bad vibe, but like let's say you really like, it's going really well and you prepared something and you're passionate about the company, it just shows like there's no way they're not going to be impressed. Like, I'm sorry, like if you did it well and properly, like anyone would be impressed by that, because it's not something everyone does right away. But yeah, I think that would maybe put you ahead of the competition.
Yeah, I like that.
That was pretty much it for that. So the next, I forgot there was another question in this category. So it was, how do you deal with feeling behind in your career when you just graduated? For example, some job posting asking for X years of experience for entry-level jobs.
Okay. So I've actually had to like give motivational speeches to a bunch of people because of this. And my answer is always apply anyway, because the worst they can say is no. And you don't know who's actually applying to these positions. And like if everyone sucks, but you don't have the same amount of experience, but you're doing like a fabulous job, then they're gonna hire you. I feel like they put the X amount of years just because they feel they have to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But obviously if you're straight out of university, don't apply to a director job. But if it's something like, you know, this is entry level, apply anyways. I applied to a bunch of jobs that required 5 years of experience. You think I had 5 years of experience if I was in school my whole life? No. But I still got interviews. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think people just need to be confident in their own abilities and be confident about their strengths and who they are as a person, and just like apply, because what can go wrong from that?
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. And I feel like also if you're doing things on your own, like hobby wise, that can relate to it, I feel like that qualifies for
Yeah.
those whatever years, because they're probably in their head assuming that this is someone that is just graduating, they haven't done anything, and now they're super new. But most of the times, no, people have gotten experience through their program, through side projects. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's just intimidating, and maybe it's to weed out the people that aren't confident and that aren't
True.
gonna try out, because then if you put that it's open to everyone and you have to like go through so many applications, this helps in like limiting,
Yeah.
you know.
That's true. I didn't think
And
about that.
yeah, I feel like maybe that could be, I'm not 100% sure, but that could be one of the factors. Oh, I was listing my advice, but I didn't
That's
know if you were
fine.
done. Okay,
Afi,
okay.
it's a conversation. We don't have to go.
I know. Then the other thing was that, like, if you do feel like, okay, there's a job that I want, but I feel like I'm not confident in the skills that I have, yeah, make your own experience, you know? Like, maybe you won't be working somewhere for 5 years, but start a blog if you want to be a writer. And as you do that, you're going to have things to show them, which will make up for the 5 years of experience or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I also thought about, let's say there's a job you really want and you're not 100% sure if you should even bother applying because it requires this amount of experience. Maybe reach out to contacts on LinkedIn that work in a job that you're interested in. Maybe set up a call, see like, okay, like how does this work? Maybe they can coach you, or maybe it can just kind of get you a step closer to it and push you to actually apply. Maybe, yeah, just like search people who are in a similar position as you, like the position that you want, and set up a call. And even like that can kind of get you in if you weren't confident to begin with like the experience that you had, if you just want to like reassure yourself. So I think that would maybe work.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the whole idea is like, if you're feeling behind, first of all, if you're getting rejected for positions because they're putting X amount of years of experience, that's just bringing you one step closer to the job that you're going to love. And it might be your dream job, or it might be a job that just helps you gain enough experience to get on the path of getting your dream job. But also realize that everyone's in their own unique path. So comparing yourself to others is just going to be a detriment to your own journey. And rather than just dwelling on like, oh, everyone's requiring so much experience, I haven't been working while I was in school compared to others, but it's like, you have your own unique strengths that are going to help in the job that you end up getting. So don't like beat yourself up because of it. You have to keep trying and keep applying and just like keep being confident in yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of wrote like as a joke, like, because I was more looking at it as on the comparison side. Like if you're in your head, especially when you're just graduating, I literally wrote like delete social media, because I feel like you need to ground your internal voice and like silence like the comparison. Obviously, you don't literally have to delete it, but I just mean I feel like that has a big thing, because everyone's, you know, especially on LinkedIn, like even I get insecure on LinkedIn. I try not to go on it. Because, yeah, everyone's putting their like, that's literally, like, career Instagram, you know? Everyone's, their accomplishments, their graduation, them getting into, like, these high companies. But at the end of the day, like, that's their journey. Focus on yours. And I also think, like, careers are not your entire identity. Like, focus on your hobbies. Like, jobs are nice, but they're not everything. And just do things that, like, are going to spark your passion and make you feel good. And doesn't always have to be, like, something super productive. Like eventually it'll like you're gonna put in the effort, but you just have to get your head into like a healthy space and not feel like you're behind, you know? Because the concept of being behind is like an illusion. Like behind to what? Like it's, you just have yourself, you're like the main character in your life. So just go on that path. The next one is, how can I know if a company/workplace will be a good fit for me?
Okay, so we kind of mentioned this before, but like pay attention to the way the interviewer communicates to you. You can tell a lot of the company culture just by that. Also, like if the interviewer, like I said, is not prepared. I had an interview once with a startup company, and like this guy did not know what to ask me. I feel like he was asking me questions that was also like as if I had 10 years experience, because he's a startup and doesn't have experience interviewing. So he would ask me like just weird questions that I'm kind of like, I don't know. And then I had put that I created, yeah, it was very strange. I had put that I had created a website for the bakery, and he was like, oh, can I look it up right now? So then I was just awkwardly sitting there while he looked up like typed in the words. He was looking at it, just nodding, like silent. Like it was just like
awkward. Like, he wasn't well like structured. Like,
yeah, couldn't communicate. Weird. Then he asked me like how would you market basically his whole company, and I'm like, I took 2 marketing classes. Why are you asking me? Like, I don't know. Oh my God. It was just it felt very strange. I was uncomfortable. So I was like, right away, I'm like, even if they offer me a job, that's a no from me.
I feel like they were like looking for one person to just manage their whole startup.
Exactly.
It's and how it is those startups.
Exactly. So that's also a factor where I'm like, I'm not going to be taking care of something unless I'm passionate about it. And like, I'm not really passionate about this. So like, that's a big no from me. So yeah.
Me too.
I feel
the
like
negative experience.
Yeah. I feel like interviews are like a big hint as to what they're like, you know?
How the company is, because like even me, the negative experience that I had was with a startup. I'm like, yo, this is too much. It's a mess.
You gotta relax.
Yeah, they're putting like all the responsibilities onto you.
Exactly. And then also research the company beforehand on like Afi said, Glassdoor. Past employees leave reviews, but also like being mindful that if there's a lot of negative reviews, people that have negative experiences have more motive to leave comments. So just take it with a grain of salt. But like but you can find a lot of information from like Glassdoor, Indeed, like all those places. And then also make sure the core values that the company has matches your core values.
100%, yeah. Me too. It was pretty much that. For me, it was just like, because you don't have a lot to base it off of, obviously you do your research. I would say if you have a good feeling from the interview and the interviewer, the company culture seems to be healthy, then I think that's like a pretty good start. Word of mouth, you know, like if you know people that have worked there before, you can ask about their experience. So I feel like that's kind of like the best way to know if it's going to be a good fit, but you just got to try. And then if you don't, if it doesn't work out, you don't feel like you're stuck. Like you can always get out.
Exactly.
Okay. The next question, which I didn't really prepare notes for, but I'll pitch it.
It's okay. I have some.
If I'm presented with 2 opportunities, how do I know which one to pick? Ooh.
Okay. This was a tough question. So I only have like 1 point on this, but okay. I want to say again, take money out of the equation and weigh the benefits that the job will have for you.
Yeah.
So will it increase your skill set? Does the company culture fit you? Do you see potential to move up in the company? Will doing this job lead you to your long-term goals? And like which position, just like flatly, which position excites you the most?
Yeah.
Because one position could excite you, but maybe they're paying less. But maybe you see yourself moving up there and you feel like you're going to get challenged and it's going to be more fun to do that than it is to do the high paying job and just like do like data entry, let's say.
Yeah, I agree.
Not mashing data entry, very important for our society. Yeah. I did it, but...
Yeah. No, you know I agree. Yeah, the first thought was wage that came into mind, but then when you look at it,
can't look at it like that, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't actually, like... make a job that you don't like better. So I would say that should be maybe one of the last things you look at.
Like money is a motivator, but it shouldn't be your number one motivation.
Yeah, exactly. I think I would say company and position are the most important because yes, you can like the position a lot, but if it's a shitty company, then the position might not feel the same as another bigger company that's more established and has resources. So I think because obviously similar positions can maybe be different based on the companies, what you have to do, your task. So definitely maybe look at like the size of the company, you know, do they have good resources? Are they like pretty established? Unless you want to be like really learning from scratch and like doing the heavy lifting, then that's different.
Yeah. But that's why it has to align with your
goals.
Needs.
Exactly. With your goals and your needs. So definitely look into that. Company size, culture, resources, all of that. Then I would say position for sure, like Kathy said. And then maybe one of the last, benefits, comes into like the culture and stuff. And then last, I would see like wage, you know, if you like both equally, then maybe the wage can help. Like if one is more than the other, then for sure.
But I definitely wouldn't look at it as like a number one indicator because I had a job that like I was getting paid very well, but I hated my life. And I think you did too. So
I mentioned it a lot. It definitely had a big impact. So it's not gonna fix like that, like extra whatever.
Yeah.
you're still gonna hate your life.
Yeah. So exactly.
Yeah, don't recommend. Last criteria. So the
Yeah.
next question, the last one for this category is, how can I move up in the ranks without sounding too bossy or like a pick me? Ooh, like a pick me. Okay.
So I kind of saw this and I was like, but you kind of have to be a pick me.
In work, there is no pick me.
Yeah.
You're just...
I'm like, you need to be confident. Remember, everyone is competing. Even your coworkers that you're best friends with, you guys are all competing to move up in the company. So like, you need to take care of yourself. You know?
Exactly. I feel like there's a difference between like kissing someone's ass and like having no self-respect just to move up, and just
you can tell
showing that you... Yeah, like if you're showing that you care and that you like, it's not bad. It's not pick me to show that you want something, you know? There's like a proper way to do it, and like a class, as long as you're not disrespecting other people, you're not like not snitching, but you're minding your business and you're focusing on what you want without putting anyone under the bus, you know? I feel like pick me is more associated with like,
you're putting other people down in order to get ahead.
Exactly. Whereas you don't need to do that. So I feel like just show that you're the best one, show you're passionate, and yeah, I don't think that's pick me or bossy. I feel like bossy is associated to females a lot, like women, sorry, not females, women.
Yeah.
Like males, it's kind of more like, oh, they're assertive or they're confident, but the bossy, maybe it's like a double standard thing. But yeah, it's okay to assert yourself.
I think in that sense, because like I said, like show that you can take lead and take initiative. But like, for example, where I'm working, I like to take on extra things and I don't mind taking it on. But like, I'm not going to start bossing around employees that have been there longer than me and are just doing their job. Like, I'm going to show appreciation for them. I'm going to be like, if they have to hand something over, I'm going to say, thank you, queen. Like, I'm going to be kind to others while still... No, exactly. I'm going to be kind to others while still trying to work hard and try to show that I can take that initiative and I can still take on more responsibility and deliver everything that I can. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Don't be like intertwining your task with someone else's task when that's their job.
Exactly.
You kind of have to set you can be open, like let them know you're open to taking things on because like you're interested, but always let them make the decision if it's their task, you know what I mean? But
don't take over someone's role unless they're asking for help.
Exactly. And if you can ask them if they're comfortable with it, but don't be doing it without like them knowing, you know. Communicate so that you know what they need from you. And yeah.
So also when I was saying like take on more responsibility, but make sure that your employer is not taking advantage of you and like is showing appreciation to you, and like you know that you have to have that salary conversation. If you see that you're taking on responsibility, you're delivering everything the way you're supposed to, be sure to have that salary conversation. And also make sure that you're like, this is kind of all intertwining, but make sure you're able to work well with others, because no one is going to want you to move up if you can't communicate well with others and you can't be a team player. So make sure that you can work autonomously, but also be comfortable with others, because I feel like if you're moving up, depending on the company, you might move up and then you might have to start managing people. So if you're moving up, but you're not really working well with others, no one's going to want you in that higher position.
Exactly. You still need to be likable and I feel like you need to be adaptable, like to environments and people in general, and know how to like create boundaries, but also like work well, communicate, all of that stuff.
Yeah. I think the key is to like work hard, but still show kindness to others.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Like just show that you're not gonna throw people under the bus just to get something. You're gonna be genuine and like actually you care.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, I feel like if you're moving up to, you have to show that you care about like the humans and people that you're working with. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
So on that, let's move into the salaries conversation. So we have 2 questions here. So first question is, should I be worried about having a relatively low salary in my first job out of university?
I feel like it depends. If it's something you really like, because we always say, right, don't look at the, but I think with your, like if you're coming at, in your first job out of uni, you have a degree, so you kind of know what to expect, and if you're doing research and you're looking at similar positions that you want to apply to and it's kind of not matching up, maybe it depends on the company's budget too. Like, it depends if it's a small or big company, but I wouldn't stay there for too long. I would say, like, maybe get your experience, like, see what it's like and see if it's worth it. Because salary, although it's not the main driving factor, if it's very low, it still has an impact. Because if you know that you can get more while doing what you love, then it'll definitely, like, play with your motivation. So get that maybe less than a year, I would say, and then try to find something or negotiate with your employer and see if you can get a higher salary.
Yeah. So my immediate answer would be like, no, don't be worried about having a low salary, because it is,
exactly.
You're going into an entry level position. But exactly what Afi said, if you should be researching similar positions on LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor, seeing what other companies offer, because sometimes they put the range. I know Glassdoor, I think that's the number one that they put all the information. So be sure to go there, see what other employers are saying for salary ranges, and be sure that when you're in the interview, ask for that. Because I know a lot of people say, like, what do you expect as the salary range? Or, like, if you haven't discussed salary, ask that as a question, because you don't want to be undervalued either just because you're straight out of university. You want to be able to be paid the same as any other company. So if you really like a company, but you find that, like, the salary is pretty low, ask that question. Ask if you can get paid the pay range that you want, basically.
Exactly. Always aim high. I feel like people are scared. Aim high, because they're not going to reject you. They're just going to be like, oh, actually, this is the salary. Are you okay with that? Or it's going to be what you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, in my current position, they gave me a salary in the range that I asked for. But I was like, okay, when they were explaining everything to me, I was like, let me just ask again. I'm like, is there any way I could get, like, a little higher, like this instead? And they were like, unfortunately, no, we don't have the budget for it, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, okay, that's fine.
They didn't, like,
no,
fire you.
Exactly. She's like, no, it's good.
The job.
Exactly. And because she knew it was my first official job out of university, she was like, no, but it's good that you asked. I'm glad you took the initiative to ask. Like, people appreciate when you're taking the initiative. So it's the same thing if you're trying to move up. You want to take the initiative to, like, talk about these things and talk about, like, the hard topics, even though they're not really hard, but
hard. It just it seems like
more taboo,
impolite or too direct. Yeah, exactly. I think, and it also shows confidence. I feel like it's like you putting a price to your skills, which is kind of what you're doing, and it shows that you're worth a lot, so it's good.
Okay, awesome. So the next salary question: how do I negotiate my salary, and how do I ask for a pay raise?
You take this away, Kathy. Okay. I don't know.
Well, I've never actually done this yet, but
yeah.
But okay, so if you're scheduling a meeting, let's say you want a pay raise, go into the meeting prepared with a list of hold on. Go into the meeting prepared with a list of accomplishments that you've done in your role to show why you deserve a pay raise. Because I feel like a lot of people just ask it because they were like, oh, I've been here for a year, so I deserve a raise. But it's like, okay, but what have you actually done to earn it?
Exactly. And, like, people, I feel like you keep track of, okay, I've done this, but everyone else, they're not paying it. They have so many things to run. The person that's taking care of your salary isn't writing down everything you've accomplished. You have to, like, tell them again.
Exactly. So be sure to, like, have an explanation as to why you deserve that kind of raise. If it's a salary conversation, I feel like if you're in an interview, just straight up ask and be like, listen, I think I deserve between this much or this much. Or, like, if you want to give a straight answer, I deserve 60,000. I don't know.
Yeah.
Say it, because you've done your research from the other companies, like we just said, so you know how much you're worth. And if they can't pay you that, and if they're underpaying you, you shouldn't be working there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
You
Actually, okay, the one tip that I saw, which was on TikTok, so I've never done this either, but basically, it also depends how you word it. TikTok had a lot of videos about
100%.
that, but yeah, exactly. You have to word it. You can't word it in a way where you're, like, attacking the person for not, like, it has to be worded properly. But they were kind of saying how you can, let's say you're doing tasks that aren't necessarily in your position and a bit out of your position. You can use that to be like, you know, someone who is doing these positions that aren't mine is paid this much. Like, you do your research and you kind of bring it up, and then you're like, so if you'd like me to whatever continue doing this, or or that you can even ask, I think, to create like a special job position that combines the two, which was kind of lead to like a raise, because it would be like a combination.
Exactly. Make sure that it's not just a title change, it comes with the pay, because you're doing stuff that's outside of your current position. So you should be I was about to say compensated.
Compensated, yeah.
For that.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And then my last tip is just like a raise can also be in the form of like extra benefits or vacation. So like, let's say they don't have the budget to like fund you in actual dollar amounts. You can see if they can fund you in like vacations or like take extra days off or more benefits, stuff like that. So like, don't be afraid to ask and negotiate different things, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, that's very true. Ooh, I'm going to listen to this before every interview and before I need to ask for a salary negotiation.
Yeah, this is going to be a long episode, so I hope you guys are taking a lot of information from this.
So our last section, business blues, when the job isn't what you expect.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know, this one's intense. The first question is, how do I know if it's time to get a new job? Take it away, Kathy.
Okay, so my first question to you is, are you actually utilizing your strengths? So if you're like bored at work, you probably aren't being challenged enough. Like, you don't see really progression to either like move up anymore, then 100% try to find something different. Also, if you're constantly overwhelmed or anxious at work, and like it could be just your environment, or it could be the work that you're doing, and maybe they're giving you too much and it's like it's just overwhelming. Even if you voice to your employer, let's say that the workload is too much and they're not making a change, 100% time to find a new job. Because they're not, first of all, they're not compensating you for it. They're not giving you a raise for it. They're just expecting you to do the work. And if it's too much on your plate and you're compromising your mental health because of it, you shouldn't compromise your health for a job. Let's just start there.
Literally for nothing. Exactly like Kathy said. Honestly, you said it all. But if you're not being challenged and you're not learning anything new, and you've learned everything you needed to, then it's time to go. Because at that point, you're just like, it's not exciting, and
it's
I don't
boring,
know. I feel like a job should be that, and if you're bored of it, then it just won't make you happy at that point. I think for sure mental health, like if they're taking advantage of you and you know it, and it's literally like having a toll on your mental health, then it's definitely time to go, because it's not healthy. You just know it. Like, I feel like you feel it in your body, you know. Obviously, also like if you're checking the time a lot and you just want the day to be over.
Yeah.
Like, there's obviously a certain extent, you know, sometimes you're just having one of those days. But if you're doing it constantly, and I know sometimes your mentality, like I know sometimes I'll go to work and I'll be annoyed even before getting there, and that will kind of ruin my day, and I can maybe change that. But sometimes it's just the fact that you just don't like it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So then I think that's one of the big signs too. If you're just bored, not stimulated, and it's having a toll on your mental health, people are taking advantage of you, then it's not worth it.
Exactly.
And I think it's time to go to the next.
Exactly. And I think if your friends ask you how work is and your immediate reaction is to say something negative, that answers your question.
Yeah, it's not a good sign. Yeah, exactly.
I think it's time to go.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't it's kind of like we always say, like, yes, they're gonna have bad times, but like not all the time. Like, it shouldn't be always like you gotta take the good with the bad and all that. Yeah, it's like
it's the same thing like dating.
Yeah, it's literally
if the bad days outweigh the good, then you gotta get out.
Snip,
snip.
Yeah. Snip, snip. Okay, so the next question was, what does career burnout look like?
Okay, I feel like we can be very quick here. So like, obviously it's like exhaustion, irritation, you feel useless, you're not being challenged. I think a big thing is like, even if you accomplish something, you don't get excited about it. Then you're probably like, you're so exhausted from doing all the work to get there that you're burnt out from it. If you're like more distant with coworkers, you don't really want to be involved in like, let's say like they're all having lunch together, you don't really want to go. Like I think it's just stuff that like
Little
kind of
things, yeah.
it makes everything negative because you're just like you're so tired of everything. Like everything just builds up and you're like, okay, that's it. I'm exhausted.
Yeah. And I feel like people think this happens like way later on in their life, like after they're 30, but it can actually happen. I feel like after, like, even in your like if you're doing something for a long time and you're just always constantly working, exhausted and like no energy, then that can be burnout as well. It's not like
Yeah.
a certain age that's like associated with it or just a certain career, you know. You can be working in like maybe fast food and get like restaurants and get a burnout, you know. So it's really like with anything. So
Yeah,
it's not
and it doesn't have to
tailored
be super extreme because it could just be like, let's say in your industry, it could be your industry's busy season.
yeah.
And you get exhausted from that because you have to work long hours, you have to finish your project, blah blah. Like Black Friday for me, I was exhausted.
Oh my
I couldn't.
God.
I
No,
mentally, I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah,
you know. And I think
exactly.
at that point, that's when you're like, okay, I need a day off.
I'm burnt
You have to
out.
take
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yeah, you need to take a vacation, a break from it, and like force yourself not to think of work because like you need to refresh.
Yeah, yeah. Even me, sometimes I feel like that. Like I don't know if it's actually that, but I'm like, I think I'm burnt out from the week from working
Yeah.
this much and like the hours. And I was just randomly thinking, like I work in retail, so I was like, how is it normal to be on your feet just walking around for like 8 hours straight?
I don't know how you
Like
do it.
how
My
does that make
legs.
sense? Yeah, but like how is that like I'm like we're pretty sure that's not healthy. Like maybe a 4 hour, 5 hour shift, but like 8 hours and only a 30 minute. Like I only got 30 minutes of a break, and I was like, that doesn't.
Also, like to
It
all
doesn't
the
seem
nurses
normal.
out there.
Oh my
so
God, it's
sorry.
true because
So sorry
oh
because
my
they work
God,
like 13
long
hours on their
shifts,
feet.
yeah, and then night shifts too. I could.
Oh my God, we appreciate
Whatever.
you. We love you.
Yes, seriously. Okay, so the next question, let's move on to
Yeah.
My job isn't as fulfilling as it used to be, but it's a comfy job. Do I stick it out?
Okay, I
Ooh.
think this kind of ties in what we've been saying for the last two questions, but like, I think you have to look at your current situation and be like, okay, is it a good idea for me right now to find a new
Change.
job? Because maybe like
Yeah.
as of right now, you need this job because of a lack of resources and stuff like that. So maybe in that sense, don't. But don't let yourself like not look. You know what I mean? Like you can still
Yeah.
be researching jobs even though you don't plan on actually like leaving anytime soon, but at least you can start seeing what's out there and seeing like maybe one position pops up that is like similar to what you're doing, but it gives you more of a challenge and like that's going to interest you, so maybe you can apply there. But I think the number one thing is don't quit your job unless you have a backup option. Like that's the worst thing you could do.
Yeah. I think, yeah, exactly. Like, it's kind of tricky, but I would say it depends, like Kathy said. It depends what your situation is in. Because you said it's comfy, like, it's not as fulfilling, but it's still comfortable, kind of. So that
Exactly.
means you're not the happiest, but you're not, like, stressed and
They're just
anxious, like,
bored.
24/7. You're just bored, so it's not stimulating. So I would say if you can afford to do so in terms of, like, financially and, like, let's say, like, with the unsureness or unsurety, I don't know,
Uncertainty?
risky, yeah, uncertainty, unsurety.
Unsureness.
Like if, because you know, obviously when you're going to a new job, there's that like 3-month probation. So if you're like okay with it being like a bit like riskier, then I would say go for it, because you obviously still want a job that like excites you to the fullest. But if you need some time, or like you have other things going on in your life and you can't really focus right now on looking for something else and like sticking with it, then wait it out. But I would say don't stay at this job forever if you're not,
Yeah.
it's not fulfilling. Like
100%.
don't be like, okay, this is gonna be it and that's all because it's comfy. Eventually I feel like you'll have to take that step towards finding something that will fulfill you more, because yeah, you want to be like the happiest you can.
Yeah, and if you have to stay in that job for whatever reason, if you just need to have stability, then you can find things at your job that maybe you can take on extra responsibility or like take initiative and go the extra mile just to like make your job more exciting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like maybe even, I don't know if your job might offer like, I think it depends the company that you're working at, but let's say like the company that I work at, it's kind of a bigger company, so they do offer like classes. Let's say if you want to do like French classes they offer, Excel classes, like maybe
Ooh.
just to further your skills in order to start applying to more places, you could do that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly. Yeah, I agree. And maybe you can like do a different position within the same company. So
Yeah,
that way it's like a change, but it's not too much out of your comfort zone, but
exactly.
it'll still be more fulfilling. So,
Exactly.
okay, so the next one is how do you say you're an idiot in professional talk?
So I was staring at this question for so long. I'm like, I have no idea. But then I Googled it.
TikTok. I feel like TikTok, this has come
Oh,
up a lot. Like
100. There's this
creators.
one girl, I don't know what her name is,
Yes.
but she's always like talking to her friend. She's like, how do you say this without sounding rude? And then she gives like
Yes.
a very proper answer.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have to
I've
find
seen
that.
them.
I'll
Yeah,
insert
that
it if
would
I
be
can
good.
find that.
Yeah.
But when I Googled this, they wrote, this may not be something in your skill set. So, blah, blah, blah. And then you continue.
That sounds so harsh though, even like saying this
But you
may
say it
not
in,
be-
like,
it's like you're dumb, but in professional talk,
Exactly.
yeah. You're dumb.
It's in a professional way.
Exactly. You basically don't use idiot, and yeah, you just have to use like professional sounding words where they can't really tell if you're calling them dumb or not. And be direct but not direct enough where they can like decode the message.
Exactly. That's it.
Okay, cool.
That's a short,
funny.
sweet
Yeah,
answer.
I've seen a lot of. Yeah, I think I saved it where it was like how to write this in a like people would ask questions. It was funny though. Okay, so the next one is how do I set boundaries but still make it known that I want to work hard?
I think, first of all, I think the question you're putting too much, you're overthinking already because you shouldn't be thinking like if I set a boundary, they're going to think I'm lazy.
I'm not
You know
working
what I mean?
hard. Yeah.
So first stop overthinking.
Yeah. True.
No, okay, that's a joke. But always here are my tips. I got 5 tips. So always remember that not everything needs to be a meeting. So if you think like someone books a meeting and you're like, this can be like a conversation, this can be an email. Don't be afraid. Yeah, don't be afraid to decline the meeting. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So like it kind of goes into like boundaries. You have to learn to say no. That's declining a meeting is saying no. Like I don't really need to waste my time on this.
I think setting boundaries shows that you are working hard because you're creating more, like, it's just more organized, more structure. You're being more
Exactly.
efficient and you're not wasting time. So it really
Yeah.
depends how you look at it, but.
Yeah, exactly. 100% agree. Also, I think don't be afraid to take vacations and take a day off. I know I'm really bad at this because I literally forget that I have vacation and sick days that I can take.
Yeah.
And I don't take them because I'm like, oh, I could just be finishing work and blah, blah, blah. But like, I like my company because we're very good at like prioritizing mental health and like
Yeah.
my boss is always like encouraging us to take a day off if like we're
Yeah.
stressed and stuff.
Yeah.
So just don't be afraid to take a day off and reset yourself. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And you're probably like rest is needed for you to be actually productive and efficient. So it's actually going to be beneficial. I even realize just like when I'm doing tasks after I sleep and wake up and do it rather than like at night when I'm tired, it's way easier and my brain is processing way quicker and just makes more sense. Whereas last night I was like, I don't know what this is.
Exactly. And obviously don't take a day off if you know you're in a busy season, you have stuff to accomplish. But like if you're out of it, just feel free to take a day off. You shouldn't be like constrained to your desk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. No, for sure.
Yeah. So also have clear conversations with coworkers about what your boundaries are. So let's say if like this is kind of like mom-ish, but if you like you want to be home for dinner with your kids and you got to leave by
Yeah.
5:30, make sure people know that you're out of here by 5:30.
Exactly. And people are going to know that like work is not your whole life. If you're a parent or just a human being, like you have other things to do. You can't, I think it may be like if they're thinking that you setting boundaries is you not working hard, then that's probably like an unhealthy environment.
Exactly. That's a toxic
Maybe,
company culture.
Exactly. Like that's not good. So
Yeah. Also be sure to negotiate your expectations. So like an example that I put here is like, let's say a cross-functional team asks you to do something that you know it's going to take at least 2 weeks, but they said they need it by end of week. Don't rush the task just to fulfill their deadline.
Yeah.
Because first of all, it's on them for giving you a short deadline without actually asking about the workload and asking about what it is. So make sure you communicate that expectation. Be like, hey, listen, this actually is going to take about 2 weeks. So can I hand it to you on this date instead of by end of week, because I won't be able to finish it. Like, just be sure to like communicate, because if you don't say it, they're not going to know. So they're just going to expect you to do it. And then if you're rushing and like working overtime, exactly. If you're working overtime just to accomplish it, and it's just because they don't know that it takes long.
Yeah, it's not.
That's on you.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. I agree. 100% communicate.
Yeah. Okay.
My last question.
Wait. My last tip.
Okay. Sorry. I thought you said last question. I was like, so ready. No. It's okay. Good. No, it's good. We need this.
Okay. My last tip, I'll try to keep it short and sweet. But if you're working from home, ensure that your team knows that by X time you're clocking out. You're unreachable. Because I feel like it's so hard, even for me. Like, I've told my manager and my boss that I want to finish work between 5:30, but I still have like Teams on my phone. So if they message me, I'll answer.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be doing that.
Don't answer because then they're going to think it's like okay to message you because you're not actually setting like the boundary firmly.
Exactly. And like my team, like no one expects an answer back. But I feel like my whole team is like that. We'll just answer, and then they're always like, "Okay, sorry for messaging you.
Have to be
you didn't have to answer." Exactly.
Yeah,
so you gotta like put your foot down and be like, "Okay, no, I'm not answering." Even if you can set up an auto email that if people email you outside of work hours, then you can say like, "Oh, I'll respond to you by this time." We kind of have like a rule in our company that no one can send you emails between, I think it's 6 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Oh,
something like that. Like people still do it, but just you're not expected to answer, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
And just like, don't look at your work emails.
Like, exactly. Be sure to like, if you can delete the app, if you're strong and you don't need the app on your phone. The only reason that I have the app is because I work with promotion. So if something goes wrong and I need to fix it, like I need to be notified right away. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But like,
I understand.
Try to separate that.
Yeah. No, for sure. Definitely. Yeah. Because like separating online, like online, like working from home, and then when you're done work, especially when you're at home, it's just so tough because you're doing everything remotely and like you don't know when to turn on and off, but you just gotta not like have that's why I feel like once you start reading it, you're like tempted to answer, you know. But yeah, you just have it's a habit you have to create. But no, for sure, that's a 100%. Good boundary to set. Okay, so the last question this time is how to deal with a very talkative coworker without being rude. I have work to do. I kind of feel this.
Yeah. So I feel like I talk sometimes without like everyone's working, it's silent, and then I'm randomly bringing up a story. So so sorry to my coworkers if you're listening to this. I just like I talk to people because like I've been working from home for so long that I'm just like I need to speak.
Need to like
even like I'm gonna distract you. I'm sorry, but I need to speak. But there are limits to this. So I feel like obviously everyone's first reaction is to be like, oh, just put your earphones in, like make sure they see.
That's more passive, like aggressive.
Yeah,
like a
just
little
like
bit. Yeah.
exactly like but people still might talk to you, might try to catch your attention, stuff like that. So like if they do that and they're constantly talking, just stop them and say it in a nice way. Be like, I need to finish this, but schedule another time for it. So like, I need to finish this, but we can continue this conversation at lunch if you'd like.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. I would be like, okay, great. I just need to finish this task. How about we talk about this like when we have free time, or like message me about it. You just have to be a little like sneaky with it.
Yeah, and say it in a very nice way, because you don't want them to think like you don't enjoy their company, or like you don't want to sound rude and be like, shut up, like you're talking so much. So like say it in a very nice way that like you still enjoy this conversation, but you have work to finish.
Yeah. But sometimes though, like I've had this before, like they're gonna be talking and I'm like, I don't enjoy what you're saying. I know. Like I don't even know what they're talking about. You can still use that like, oh, we can continue this at lunch, and then just not continue it. Not follow up with them. Be like, oops, exactly. They'll just forget by that time. But yeah, I think you just have to. They will though. Yeah, you just have to like Also, if they're trying to really talk to you and you're not 100%, keep your answers short. Like, don't respond with full-on sentences.
So much.
Yeah, just be like, yeah, okay. Like, honestly, I know it is passive-aggressive a little bit, but they
not need to get the hint.
Yeah, like, sometimes, like, you're busy and they won't leave you alone, so you kind of have to show that you're, like, working, or just answer very... Like, sometimes I don't know what my coworkers are telling me, and I'm like... Yeah, but
that's that long pause.
It's just like I just thought about this because some of my coworkers listen to this. I'm like, oh, no, it's fine. It's
but
fine.
You just have to be very like
past coworkers.
Yeah, be nonchalant about it and be like, okay, you know. Also, if you're working from home though, and let's say they're messaging you constantly, because that could also happen. There's a snooze and a do not disturb on every messaging channel, so be sure to do that, because then you won't see the messages pop up, and you'll answer when you're actually free.
Exactly, that's the best. Like, I know I used to use Slack, and they would have like a do not disturb from this time to this time. Best thing
I know
ever. It would always be on do not disturb because I like to like answer on my own terms, and like I don't like having things pop out.
Yeah, you know what though? I feel like it's kind of annoying to have this messaging system, because like if I see a message pop up, I'll answer right away, and if they're asking me to do something, I stop doing what I'm doing to finish that, and then I forget what I was doing. So it's kind of like working from home has its cons. Let me just say that.
For sure, no.
But sure. Yeah.
Okay, I think we're done. The episode. We made it through.
It's a bit of a long one, so I hope you guys took something out of it. But yeah, I enjoyed this one. I love talking about career.
It was really beneficial, and I felt like because I don't have that much experience because I'm still a student, I didn't know if I could contribute, but I feel like you contribute a lot. But
I feel like you worked more than I have, to be honest.
Yeah, but it's like they're more like smaller jobs. I feel like they're not
they're not. First of all, it's not a small job.
Not small,
I would be exhausted doing your job. It's just a different job.
A different type of job, like less corporate level, whatever, more like, but yeah, no, it was really good. And I feel like I learned things just like through interviews, that even if I didn't continue like doing the job, I learned like through the interviews, information, other people's advice when I was doing interviews. So this was really fun. We hope you guys enjoyed it.
I also just want to, super random, thought about it, but if your school is offering conferences or like workshops, like Afi was in JMMA, which like the marketing association, and there was like it's not workshops. What is it called?
They had workshops, and we also had conferences.
Okay, so it's, exactly what I said.
Like conferences, workshops, little events. Like
so that can kind of help for the first question, where it's like how to stay motivated. Maybe you can go to that and see like real life examples of what you're studying, and maybe that can be a motivator, because you're like, oh, okay, that's super interesting. That's where I want to be. You know what I mean? Okay.
No, this is good.
Sorry.
Like a lot of universities as students, they have so many resources and we don't use them. Like I didn't know about associations or committees. Yeah. I was like, what is this? But definitely recommend. And even if you're shy, just go, because everyone's feeling the same way. But
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we've wrapped it up. We hope you guys enjoyed it and benefited from it. If you have any other tips just regarding careers, CVs, or whatever, leave them, comment, YouTube, anywhere, Instagram.
If you guys have more questions and you want a part 2 also, we can do that. Maybe we can maybe it can be more specific. I don't know. Or if you have certain situations that you want advice with, that would be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun. This is really fun, actually. And of course, as usual, follow us on Instagram, Wild Thoughts Pod, TikTok, subscribe to YouTube, leave comment, like, subscribe. I already said that.
All that jazz.
Yeah, and it's going to be linked as usual below. And you can follow on our personal social medias also.
Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, see you next time, guys.
Yeah, bye guys.
Bye.